Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you with another live show. Today is Wednesday, June 5th, the 5th day of June, 2013. Welcome aboard. Hey, give me a call, why don't you? Let me do my very best at taking a stab at your health questions. I bring 24 years of clinical experience to bear on what I advise people to do to support and promote the structure and function of their human body and to optimize its performance from the inside out. 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. Well, there is a God. Finally, the word is starting to percolate, maybe, or I don't know, maybe it was the weather. News is straight off of USA Today at Dallas. The Susan G. Komen for the Cure is canceling half of its 3-day charity races next year because of a drop in participation levels. Hallelujah and pass the hat. The word is finally starting to spread that the MDs are absolutely horrible at treating cancer. While the MDs, while we've given them $600 billion with a B, $600 billion, that's $500 billion plus $100 billion. Do you know how much $1 billion is? It's a lot. It's 1,000 million. $1,000 million is $1 billion. We gave them 600 of those piles. You know how closer to a cure for cancer we are? Not any closer. Cancer statistics have remained completely unchanged. It is so bad, cancer is so bad, the cancer treatment outcomes are so bad that the American Cancer Society completely moved the goalposts years ago. Now they don't even talk about a cure, they talk about a 5-year survival time, but they don't tell patients that. They don't tell patients that, oh, the statistics are based on a 5-year survival time. They just tell patients, oh, this treatment is 50% successful. The patient hears is 50% of the women or men who get this treatment are cured, when in the reality, what they're meaning is 50% of the people who get this treatment are still alive 5 years from now, but then they die eventually from cancer. And in the meantime, the treatments have created an unbelievable quagmire in the quality of their lives. Personalities change. My mother died of not of ovarian cancer, but of chemotherapy. My mother, God rest her soul, was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, I think 10 years ago, more or less, how time flies. And she was one of the nicest, most optimistic, friendly, loving, fun women you'll ever want to meet. She was awesome. My mother was awesome. God rest her soul. Chemotherapy completely altered her personality. I mean, it altered it. I didn't know who my mother was anymore, and neither did anybody else. You could still see a little bit of her in there because it couldn't collapse her soul. But for goodness sake, it collapsed everything else and made the last 2 years of her life an unbelievable hell. Costing, you know, I don't even want to know how much it costs because that would just make me furious. I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go there. There's some things I needn't not know. But the fact of the matter is, it's like this for everybody. Chemotherapy doesn't work. Conventional medical treatments for chronic diseases don't work. This is why autism is getting worse. It's why Alzheimer's is getting worse. It's why our life expectancies are getting shorter. It's why arthritis rates continue to climb, especially in Canada. I mean, 50% of the Canadian population, 50%, that's like 17 million people have arthritis. You know, the MDs are clueless about how to cure it. They can't even cure heartburn. But they can manage it. We talked about that on yesterday's show. And I got my statistics wrong. I was reading statistics from 2008. The largest selling drug in the United States is Nexium. Nexium. The Crestor, which is a cholesterol-lowering drug, is third. The second largest selling drug is an anti-schizophrenic. I forget the name. I'll think of it in a minute. But Nexium, a heartburn medicine, is the largest selling medicine in the United States. And people buy more heartburn medicine than any other type of medicine. Now, does heartburn medicine cure heartburn? No. It manages it. And it manages it poorly. And into the bargain, what heartburn medicine does is it completely eliminates your body's ability to produce any stomach acid. When you take a proton pump inhibitor, your stomach acid dries up 100%. And when your stomach acid is dried up 100%, how do you think your body's ability to digest food is going to be? Is it going to be good? No, it's going to be horrible. Your body won't be able to digest very many things out of food without proper stomach acid. It will be able to digest a couple of calories out of it because there's still going to be some bile, there's still going to be some pancreatic acid squirted into the digestive tract further on downstream. But when you remove the stomach acid, which is the lion's share of the digestive process in the human body, when you remove that, what you end up with is massively accelerated nutrient deficiencies. Now, number one, there isn't enough nutrition in the food anyway. Number two, when you eliminate stomach acid from the dominoes of digestive influence, you can't digest anything out of your food except a handful of calories, so this accelerates nutrient deficiencies. And since nutrient deficiencies are the root cause of all chronic disease, the more proton pump inhibitors and antacids that people take, the more chronic disease is going to be widespread, and that's exactly what's happened. And then into the bargain, when you throw pharmaceutical drugs into the mix to try to fix the problem, you're just going to complicate things and get all kinds of side effects, which is why medical care in the free world is so unbelievably expensive, because it doesn't work. And not only does it not work, but it complicates things into the process. It makes things work. It adds work for the doctor. It adds work for the hospital. It adds work for the nurse. The drugs don't work. They make things worse. Of course, with the exception of trauma care, right? When you have your leg blown off in Iraq, thank God for morphine. Thank God for the sterile technique. Thank God for microsurgery, which is awesome. But for chronic disease, bringing your body to a medical doctor is a fool's errand. And, you know, the Susan G. Komen Society, which is basically a front for the pharmaceutical industry. By the way, let's just hypothesize, okay, that the Susan G. Komen women, they run in Chicago and they raise $5 million for breast cancer. And they give that $5 million. Who do they give it to? They give it to the American Cancer Society. Who do they give it to? They give it to the drug companies to do research. Now, let's say a drug company came up with a drug that reduced the occurrence of breast cancer by 10%. 10%. That would be a huge breakthrough in the world of medicine, right? Cancer reduction by 10%, it would be a giant best-selling overnight sensation drug. How many of the women, or how much of the American Cancer Society, are they going to get a cut? Are they going to get a piece of the action? Are they going to get a piece of the revenues generated from the sale of those drugs? No. I mean, why would you do that? Because you've put your trust in the wrong system of medicine. You've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. You didn't know any better. That's the only reason that this type of nonsense persists. And by the way, reducing the occurrence of breast cancer by 10% would be revolutionary, right? Well, hold on to your hats. Selenium supplementation, selenium being a mineral, it's cheaper than dirt because it's made from dirt, reduces the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. 82%. Now, why aren't the Susan G. Komen women marching for that? Is that a pretty good number, 82%? You know what that means? That means if every girl in the United States, if every girl in Trinidad, if every girl in Canada, if every girl in Australia, if every girl in Ireland, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, Africa, took one 200 microgram capsule of selenium a day in one generation, we'd eliminate the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. Is that not worthwhile? Why don't you know this? Why doesn't your child know this? Why isn't this taught in school? And why did Dr. Wallach have to sue the Food and Drug Administration so that we could say this legally? I'll tell you why. Because it's a for-profit, runaway, monopolistic train of medicine in the U.S. The medical industry does not have your best interests in mind. It is a for-profit runaway train. If it was humanitarian, if it was medical, if it was science-based, and when gastrin levels in the stomach build up, there's a little valve at the top of your stomach that opens up. And when that valve opens up, what little stomach acid there is in the stomach, and there is a little bit, squirts up into the throat and you get heartburn. But MDs, having a herd mentality, having no real intellectual integrity, just believe what the pharmaceutical companies told them, believe what all their colleagues have told them, believe what their professor in school told them, hands down. They're cowards. They're cowards. They don't even bring a juvenile understanding of human anatomy and physiology to bear on their treatment of your chronic illnesses. So what do when they're faced with heartburn? Well, they believe in the herd mentality that heartburn is caused by too much stomach acid, even though I've been trying to get a physiologist for 24 years to tell me the mechanism that causes the body to create too much stomach acid. They can't, because guess what? It doesn't exist. It's impossible for the body to create too much stomach acid. Well, I guess it could under certain circumstances, but I'm still waiting to see what those are. Maybe if you hang upside down in outer space for 20 days, there is no upside down in space, so I don't even know where I'm going there. But the fact of the matter is, it's very, very, very easy for the body to make not enough stomach acid. You know what the main cause of underactive stomach acid is? Not enough salt in the diet. That's what I said, not enough salt. Who told you not to eat salt? Your medical doctor told you not to eat salt, and that started 30, 40 years ago. So since we've been listening to the advice of our medical doctors and not eating salt, heartburn has gone through the roof, provoking the sale of proton pump inhibitor antacids to be the second largest category of drugs sold in the world. And Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to the sixth leading cause of death, while statin drug sales have soared, and heart disease statistics have remained unchanged as far as the numbers of people getting heart disease. It is one gigantic shell game, and it is so big that everybody misses it. The leading cause of heartburn is not enough salt. And your doctor told you not to eat salt, which causes an epidemic in the sales of proton pump inhibitors. And good for the drug companies, bad for you. And oh, by the way, can you remember my name? Oh, then that means you don't have Alzheimer's, but it's only a matter of time. I am Dr. Peter Glidden. Stop the madness. Fire your medical doctor now. Log on to my website instead. I'm taking your calls when we come back. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you on Tuesday, the 4th day of June, 2013. So this is it, right? I just want to wrap up this thought from before, and then we're going to go to California, talk to Pedro. But here's the deal, right? So while we've listened to the MDs tell us exactly the wrong things to do, they've made tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of money, and we've gotten sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. They told us to take statin drugs. We took statin drugs, and Alzheimer's went through the roof, but heart disease remains unchanged. Well, what has changed with heart disease is they can keep you alive after you've had a heart attack now, because remember, their wheelhouse is trauma. That's what they're good at. They can't fix the degenerative root cause of heart disease. They're, spending millions of dollars trying to decipher the gene and to uncode the gene that's at the basis of heart disease. It's nonsense. It's not genetic. It's biochemical. It's nutritional. It's the stuff that you eat that causes inflammation in the arteries. Stuff that you don't eat can't put the fire out in the body. If you don't have enough nutrients in your body to put inflammatory fires out, then inflammation is going to run rampant. That's why they get wildfires in California, right? Because there's not enough rain. Everything's dry. There's not enough water to keep the fires out. So they burn themselves out. They burn and burn and burn until it rains, or until they just reach the ocean and burn themselves out. Well, it's no different in your body. Your body needs antioxidants. It needs stuff in order to put out the fires of life. And if you're unwittingly eating the wrong food all the time, guess what? You're screwed. And on top of this, the MDs have told you not to eat salt. By not eating salt, you have completely decimated your stomach's ability to produce healthy stomach acid. So guess what happens when you don't have healthy stomach acid? You don't digest your food. Now, your food doesn't have the nutrients necessary to sustain life in it anyway. Your food is nutrient deficient, but now because you've been on a salt-restricted diet, you can't absorb any of the nutrients that are in your food, hardly. You've got a couple of calories out of the bargain, but you're not going to get any minerals. You're going to get a couple of vitamins, but you're going to be running on fumes because your stomach's digestive ability has been suppressed by lack of salt. And then, of course, you got heartburn, which is a salt deficiency disease and a calcium deficiency disease. It's caused by not enough stomach acid. So now you have heartburn, and so what does the MD do? He gives you a drug which completely eliminates your stomach acid altogether. It's gone. Now you don't have any. There's none. Zero. Now, you know when you were a kid playing dominoes and you had all the dominoes lined up, you know, and you knock one over and it's a beautiful thing. It makes a little design, right? Well, if you remove one of the dominoes from the link, what happens? It stops. Well, guess what happens when you remove digestive juice from the stomach from the link? Everything, the rest of the digestive process stops. It stops completely. So, by eliminating salt from your diet, the MDs provoked an epidemic of heartburn, which they then suppressed with proton pump inhibitors, generating a generation of chronic nutrient deficiencies, which causes autism. I said it out loud. Autism is caused, we believe, by chronic undiagnosed nutrient deficiencies in women who are pregnant. And that's why there's also so much infertility. Because the human body doesn't have the nutrients it needs to sustain a pregnancy. The human body has wisdom. It knows that it doesn't have enough nutrition to sustain a pregnancy. And so guess what's going to happen? The body's not going to want you to get pregnant. Because it knows the kid's going to be born messed up if they're born at all. And you know, this is sane, pragmatic medicine, but when we tell people this, oh, Dr. Glidden, this is unfounded and unsubstantiated and blah-de-dee-blah-de-dee-blah, well, kiss my white you-know-what. It's nonsense. All you need is a little common sense and a little bit of perspective, which most of us have neither of here in the United States. Because why? For 100 years, the MDs have gone out of their way to monopolize the medical market. That's the only reason they still have a job, is because they have legislated themselves into first place. You know, it's like the nasty person that everybody hates on the board of the selectmen, but they keep getting reelected because they gerrymander the results. They get in by hook or by crook, and once they're in, they stay in, and then they exercise relentless Machiavellian power over everything. The only reason that the MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine is because they've kept everybody else off the bus. For goodness sake, my profession is only licensed and regulated in 16 states. Might be 17 now. You kidding me? It's illegal for Dr. Glidden to practice medicine in 36 states? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, coming at you live on Tuesday, June 4th. Thanks for logging in. Thanks for logging on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for turning on. Thanks to Pedro from California, who's a regular caller. Hey, Pedro, thanks for your patience. You are live.
Hey there, Dr. Peter Glidden. I have some questions in regards to cancer and gray hair, sir.
All right. Bring it at me, Pedro.
All right. I have a friend who I'm about to visit right now. She has cancer, and she's about to go under chemo tomorrow. And I was hoping you could tell me the 10 questions so I could let her know that she can ask her doctor. And I was hoping you would tell me what she can use to recover quickly from her cancer.
Well, we can't treat cancer. Nobody can treat cancer in the United States except MDs. It's illegal to treat cancer. How about that? Illegal for anybody except an MD to treat cancer, and the MDs stink at treating cancer. There was an article published in 1998, I believe, in the Journal of Clinical Oncology, which is the gold standard of cancer research here in the United States, quite frankly, in the world. They did a 14-year study of adults who had developed cancer and were treated with chemo. And the published results clearly stated that 97% of the time, chemotherapy treatment for adults with cancer doesn't work. It doesn't work 97% of the time. So the 10 questions can be found in my book in the chapter on cancer. So just go to Amazon.com and download it. It's $9.99. I'll tell you the first 3 questions. I mean, you can have the book in 2 minutes if you have a Kindle. I'll tell you the first 3 questions. Number 1, can this treatment cure my cancer? Can it cure my cancer? That's a simple, straightforward, honest question. Question number 2, if it doesn't cure my cancer, what can I expect it to do? Question number 3, what side effects will this treatment provoke, and how will it affect the quality of my life? And, of course, question number 4, the biggest question, how much money will you make by prescribing this treatment specifically, right? Does it work? Does it cure the cancer? If it doesn't cure the cancer, what can I expect? What are the side effects? How is it going to affect the quality of my life? And how much money are you going to profit from prescribing this treatment? If you ask those 4 questions, there are 6 others. If you ask those 4 questions to any oncologist, you will be kicked out of their office, or they will make you feel mean and low-spirited. They will make you feel like a fool for even having the audacity to ask those questions in the first place. And it is a fool's errand. Chemotherapy doesn't work for cancer. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And, you know, people need to start saying this out loud. It doesn't work so bad that, or so much, that the American Cancer Society years ago stopped even entertaining the notion of a cure. They don't even entertain the notion of a cure anymore. What they now, their whole yardstick for a success of treatment for cancer is if you are diagnosed with cancer and you go on board with a conventional cancer treatment, chemo, radiation, or surgery, and you are alive 5 years later, that's considered a success. So when oncologists talk to patients about the successfulness of the treatment, the patient hears the word cure, but the doctor means you're still going to be alive in 5 years, but your legs are going to fall off, your hair is going to fall out, you're not going to recognize your kids, we're going to have to remove your gallbladder and your kidneys, we're going to have to put you on all these anti-rejection medicines because we're going to need to put a fake heart in your body as a result of the chemotherapy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the patient just doesn't ask these questions. The medical doctor doesn't care. Because from the medical doctor's point of view, there's nothing else for the patient to do because all this alternative stuff is just hocus pocus and smoke and mirrors and quack medicine, and I'm the doctor and you need to shut up and do what the doctor says. Even though it's not perfect, shut up and do what the doctor says. They need to be pilloried in the town square, for goodness sake. This is bad medicine. Bad, bad, bad medicine. Look, Pedro, I can prescribe drugs in certain states in which I'm licensed. Drugs are not the problem. Conventional treatments are not the problem. It's whether they work or not. They don't work. They don't work. And yet, because people are intimidated by the men and the women in the white coats, and you're intimidated by the hospital setting in which you go for the cancer interview in, if the medical doctor could tell you to eat rat poison and you do it, oh, we already do that. It's called warfarin or Coumadin. The medical doctor could tell you to give your kid a derivative of cocaine. Oh, we already do that. That's what Ritalin is. Medical doctor could tell you to jump off of the roof of a building, and most people would do it because they trust the doctor, and this is the biggest single mistake that we make. If you start looking at your medical doctor like a businessman instead of a physician, you will have a much better understanding of where they're coming from. Those are the 4 questions that she needs to ask, and she needs to have 2 guys wearing dark suits with sunglasses stand behind her, not saying a word, staring the doctor down while she's asking those questions. Because if she doesn't have some type of backup and support, she will cave under the doctor's arrogance and hubris. Their hubris is legendary. For goodness sake, don't get me started, Pedro. You already did. Now, look, we can't treat cancer. It's against the law to treat cancer. Can't do it. You know, that should, if that doesn't make you angry, I don't know. You're just not paying attention. If I was diagnosed with cancer, and heaven forbid, in order to support and promote the structure and function of my body, I would do 1 anti-aging healthy start pack a month. Per 100 pounds of body weight per month, I would do 4 bottles of selenium a month. Regardless of how much I weighed, I'd do 4 bottles of selenium a month, and I would do as much Z-Radical as I could humanly afford. If I could afford 1 bottle of Z-Radical a day, 30 bottles a month, I would do it. So as much Z-Radical as the person can afford, 4 bottles of selenium a month, and 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, plus elimination of the 10 bad foods, is the most excellent thing to do to support and promote the structure and function of the human body when you are given a diagnosis of an illness that has a negative effect on your immune system, as does cancer, as does most supposed autoimmune diseases. The medical doctors are to be avoided. For goodness sake, they're making thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on the back of this woman. They're going to make thousands of dollars, and the treatments are not going to work. And then the doctor's going to wipe their hands and walk away 6 months from now, after she's a wreck and her friends and family members don't recognize her because her personality has changed, and she's incontinent now at night in bed, and she needs her gallbladder removed, and now she has diarrhea all of the time, and she's just not herself. Because she's not herself, because the drugs changed her personality. They never tell you about that. It's a tragedy, Pedro, of biblical proportions. We need, what should be a burgeoning, growing industry here? Patient advocates. There need to be patient advocates that patients can hire to ask their doctors these hard questions, because people are intimidated by the MD and they won't do it. They will not do it. They see the white coat and they cower in submission. We have Stockholm Syndrome. We have all we've fallen in love with our captors. And this is our biggest problem. This is why I do this radio show, to help ring the bell and wake people up. Pedro, I got to move on, buddy. Thanks for the phone call. I appreciate everything that you do. Download the book from Amazon.com. It's $9.99. Even better yet, get it from my website, drglidden.com, or my favorite, fireyourmdnow.com. Going to North Carolina next, talking to Robert from North Carolina, one of my favorite states in the United States. Hey, Robert, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Yes, Dr. Glidden, thank you, and thank you for your show. We enjoy it very much. I am 61 years old, and as so many men my age, we've experienced, enlarged prostate and all the symptoms that go with it. And we've kind of dealt with it for a couple of years, and it kind of came to a head about 3 weeks ago. My blood pressure shot way up. And anyway, we went to the doctor. They did the catheter, kind of released the pressure, empty the bladder. They put me on the generic form of Flomax and Proscar. And since that time, I've been doing doing better, and seem to be urinating a little better and that type thing. And the urologist that they recommended to me, I went to see yesterday, and he said, he gave me an ultrasound, and he said, well, your bladder's still not emptying properly. And he said, the way I see it, he said, you got two choices. You can self-catheterize yourself for the rest of your life, or you can get the TURP operation. Yeah. He called it TURP, the acronym, and you know what that is, where they go in and scrape the excess tissue off the prostate. And I said, well, let me ask this. I said, I've only been on the medicine for about 2.5, 3 weeks. Don't you think it should have a chance to kind of work and all? And he said, well, it's probably not going to do much more than it's already done. He said, you really probably need to get that surgery. And so, I didn't like either one of those alternatives. And we just wanted to, because we have so much, respect for you and your opinion on these things. And
well, I appreciate.
If you had if you might have a
Guess what? Yeah, you bet I do. So look, this is just common sense, right? If you had mold in your basement, you wouldn't just paint over it. Or, you wouldn't just scrape it off of the concrete or, the tiles in your basement or the wallpaper. You wouldn't just scrape it off or paint over it. You would look for the source of the mold and fix it. Because where there's mold, there had to be water, and if there was water intrusion into the house, you got a problem, you better find that and fix it, or it's going to happen again. That's just common sense. It's no different with this condition. What these people overlook, because they're just trained in an old-fashioned, out-of-date method. They're trained in an old-fashioned, out-of-date method. It's so archaic. Their method of looking at human anatomy and physiology, it is laughable, but because everybody in their profession does it, they think that it's just perfectly fine, thank you very much. They have been deluded by their own mediocrity. Deluded by their own mediocrity. They're like colorblind art critics who don't even know that they're colorblind, and they go around criticizing art. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful painting of the Mona Lisa. They don't know diddly squat about it because there's a whole bunch of stuff right in front of their face that they can't even see. So, you know, if they go in and roto-rooter your prostate with the TURP surgery, which is what that basically is, they're going to, burn away and cut away and hack away the tissue that is impeding the ureter that comes out of your bladder that goes through the penis, and which is, how you eliminate urine from your body. But it's going to come back. It's going to come back because the condition that caused the prostate to become swollen in the first place is not fixed by the surgical procedure. It's no different than scraping off the mold in the basement. We need to get to the root cause of what made the mold be there in the first place, what made the prostate get enlarged in the first place. And remember, buddy, that it is never possible to unsurgery something, right? It's never possible to unsurgery something. It's always best to do a medical nutrition intervention for a number of months in non-life-threatening conditions first. Stick around. I'll tell you exactly what to do on the other side of the hard break. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's the luckiest day of your life. You've tuned in to Fire Your MD Now. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Have you fired your medical doctor? If you did, call me and tell me. 866-582-9933. All right, Robert. So first things first, you want to be using the catheter, until this problem resolves itself internally. And you want to get the lubricated catheters. They have two types. You want to get the lubricated catheters. They cost a little bit more. But if you don't get the lubricated catheters, then every time you catheterize yourself, you're gonna create a little area of inflammation somewhere. You're going to generate an infection. You're going to have infection after infection after infection, which is what these knuckleheads should have told you in the first place, but they didn't. I mean, this is their wheelhouse. You have to call the naturopath on the radio to get information like this. I mean, give me a break. These guys need to be fired. For goodness sake, they are incompetent at what they do. They don't even know what to tell you to do, how to maximize and optimize what they're advising you to do. They don't care. They don't know about it. When do you think was the last time that surgeon looked at the new models of lubricated catheters? Never. That's the nurse's job. That's not the doctor's job. Well, guess what? He can go pound sand, for goodness sake. Tell you what, you want to get his cell phone number and put it on speed dial, and every single time you get a bladder infection moving forward now because of the crappy catheters that they gave you, I want you to call him at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, it's Robert. You suck at what you do. You gave me an awful catheter, and now look what happened. You stink. But don't get me started. All right, I'm already started, Robert. So look, we have to nip this in the bud, right? So the single most common cause, from our perspective, of an enlarged prostate is not enough selenium. It's not enough selenium, and consistent consumption of foods unwittingly. You're eating foods that are pro-inflammatory, and your body doesn't have enough nutrients to put out those fires. And so, everybody's got a weak link in their chain. Some people it's their lungs, some people it's their heart, some people it's the bones, some people it's the joint, some people it's the prostate. That's really where genetics comes into play here, right? Because different people will have different weak links. And we haven't figured that out yet, but I see it all the time. There's some people with selenium deficiencies, boom, they get a lung symptom. Some people with selenium deficiencies, boom, they get a liver symptom. Some people with selenium deficiencies, boom, they get a prostate symptom. Who knew? Well, nobody knows. You just have to wait and see how it plays out. So the recommendation here, of course, eliminate the 10 bad foods. That's of maximum importance. If you are not up to that, then just do whatever the MDs tell you, because I can't help you. You must clean up your diet, number one. Stop eating the 10 bad foods. No whining. Not that you're a whiner. Number two, make sure you are consuming a minimum of 50,000 ORAC points. 50,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. 50,000 minimum, 100,000 would be better. 100,000 would be better in your case. Between 50 and 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day, and you can do that either through supplementation, right, or food, or both. So you're going to have to educate yourself about the ORAC value of different foods. So just do a little Google search, ORAC food value or whatever, and you can see that, oh, you know, walnuts have more antioxidants than peanuts, and red wine has more antioxidants than white wine, and so forth and so on. So by making simple dietary changes, you can go a long way towards upping the ante with your antioxidants, which is, in fact, what is necessary here. All right, number 3, how much do you weigh, Robert?
185.
All right, so per month, buddy, it's going to be 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, 2 anti-aging healthy start packs per month, 4 bottles of selenium per month, 4 bottles of selenium per month, and 2 bottles of Prost FX a month, 2 bottles of Ultimate Prost FX a month, and 4 bottles, if you can afford it, of Z Radical a month. 4 Z Radical, 2 Prost FX, 4 selenium, and 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods, and up the ante with your antioxidants. So let me do a little calculation here. If you do 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, that's going to give you 32. That's going to give you about 44,000 ORAC, right? All by itself, just with the anti-aging healthy start packs. And just with the anti-aging healthy start packs, 44,000. So you're going to need, 60,000 more ORAC a day. Do this for 90 days. And also make sure you get the lubricated catheters and have a nurse show you how to do it. And call me back every 2 or 3 weeks with a report. I will look forward to it. Hour 2 with Mike Randolph coming up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Thanks, Robert, from North Carolina. I will see you next time.